Hello and welcome back to All Things Odd and Strange. I'm your host, Lou, and I have a question for you. Let's just say you have something fishy going on in your home, and you feel you might need a little bit of help sorting it all out. Who do you want prowling about your home? Well, as we discuss paranormal group types, which is our topic for today, these are the group types that investigate people's homes, and I am going to present to you a cautionary tale. Well, how can I speak to this? I will tell you. I was a paranormal investigator and quite involved with the paranormal community for about 15 years. I've seen the good and I've seen the very dark underbelly of this community. And I have also seen with my own eyes what happens to people who rub elbows with this world on a regular basis. And it's not healthy. I will be delving into that topic in a few podcasts from now. I can see that coming up as a hot topic. If you think paranormal investigators are all the same, nothing could be further from the truth. Speaking of the truth, some groups have turned ghost hunting, paranormal investigating, into a kind of a religion. Why do I say this? Well, because many, not all, end up developing their own dogma on how the spiritual world works, and they will consider their dogma as their own personal hill to die on. At one point in the early history of paranormal investigating, groups were bickering among themselves so badly that they tried to form a paranormal unity movement. But this was looked upon with skepticism, to say the least, because some groups just didn't want to be associated with other groups that held diametrical opinion from their own. Those days, and I from what I can see still, even on YouTube and all of that, it's still a zoo. And a lot of them don't get along among themselves. Some of them do, some don't. They just don't. And that being said, let's take a quick look at some of these, the hills that they're going to be dying on. The first group, I like to call them the techno groups, and these are evidence-based groups. And they're the ones who will bring in the big guns, the heavy equipment, and are primarily interested in getting the evidence. They want to capture that evidence that they can present to the world and say, see, it's real. We caught it. Here it is. We want to give it to you. And if there's anything else to be taken care of spiritually, they usually will refer you to someone else to do that kind of work. And this comes in handy because if you just want someone to come and collect the evidence and say, look, I'm not crazy, and then take that evidence to a very legitimate person who can help you, truly, that's very useful. That's very helpful. So they definitely have some utility to techno groups. Then there's the groups I call them the experimental groups. Now they'll try everything and anything. They'll do Ouija boards. They'll do high technology. They'll do no technology. They'll do Bloody Mary in the mirror. They'll try everything. They'll do Ouija boards. And there's even a ghost hunting group. Now, they're ghost hunters. They're not really paranormal investigators, so to speak. But anyway, they go out there and they do ghost hunting in the nude. So they think they can sense things better that way. So there is everything out there. Everything. The next group are the religious groups. Now, they're more interested in getting rid of evil spirits, negative entities, things like that in the home. They are a little less interested, not entirely not interested, but less interested in gathering all this data, so to speak. They're more interested in freeing your home from evil, whatever it may be. And there are different religious groups for various religions, and people, they generally help people of their own persuasion, because that's the easiest they're going to understand. However, there are religious groups that'll help anyone. Like I said, there's everyone out there, but they are more interested in getting rid of what's bothering you than collecting all of this data and information. Not to say that they don't, but that's their emphasis. Then the fourth group is the esoteric group. I like to call them that because they are. They usually have psychics in the group, psychics and empaths. They'll go into a home and they'll start feeling things and telling the homeowner what spirits could be there or not be there, if they're good, if they're evil. They're providing that kind of sensory information. They're more interested in interacting with the spirits and may or may not be interested in ridding the home of the spirit. Depends on the homeowner. And what's interesting, though, that I find more and more people now are claiming to have psychic abilities, or they are an empath. And a word of caution here, of course. And one that needs to be very, very discerning when these claims are being made. And the reason is, evil knows just as much about your past, present, and likely future, and that's if you don't change anything, as good spirits do. They know just as much about you. And they can tell you the exact same things because they watch you all the time. So this is very important to be able to discern what's really going on and to question it. Who's talking? Who's doing the talking? And some people say, well, how can it be evil if it does so much good? It makes the family feel better that they talk to their loved one and all of that. Well, sometimes evil has a bigger fish to fry. So, you can feel good for a while, but it's drawing you away from something else. So just be very, very careful when you invite people in who actually are trying to communicate with whatever seems to be in your home, because they may be communicating with it, but it's also opening other doors to something else. It is a very dicey dance to be involved in a paranormal investigation if you're going to be trying to communicate with the spirits, because it can be anybody you're talking to, or anything, I should say. And then also a little side note about cleansings. They come in and do the sage thing or whatever it may be. It has been my experience, and I've seen it over and over again. Cleansings are normally don't last more than either 3 days, 3 months, or 3 weeks. The issue is authority. Negative entities are very legalistic. They know who's who and who has authority to do what. And according to Father Ripperger, who is the exorcist for the Archdiocese of Denver, one must have a legal or commissioned right over a person or a place to be effective in ridding it from evil. If one doesn't, it will come back, but it'll come back worse than it was before. So all these things need to be taken into consideration as well, because you have a lot of people coming out too that are paranormal investigators claiming to be demonologists. But are they really? Just putting it out there. You have to really research anyone you invite into your home. And then you, like I said, you have the groups that are just a mixed bag of everything. And they'll try different things and they'll try different methods, and they're just a mixed bag. They're not really focused on one methodology. Okay, short story time. There are groups too. This is outside of the 4 groups I just mentioned, but the groups I like to call the harem builders. That's where you have one male person, and the rest of the whole entire group are females. And that is an interesting dynamic to watch. And it's done very intentionally. And it really doesn't, it doesn't usually bode well. There's usually great turnover. It's just fascinating to watch. And then there's other groups I like to call the cleanup crews. They'll go in after another paranormal group that has gone in to a home and told some homeowner that there's a demon living in their closet who holds the soul of a little girl captive in there. And, you know, they're trying to free that closet from this demon. It's like, I was always expecting to read about some group getting sued for psychological damages at some point, because some of it was pretty outrageous. And then you have the humorous ones. I call them the God will protect me groups. They will knowingly place themselves in danger. And just for the sake of curiosity, I mean, they'll just be out there ghost hunting. And, you know, when things start to pop off, they're over there, well, God is protecting me. Jesus is with me. They will protect me, you know. It's like you decided to place yourself in danger, and now you're asking God to help you. You willingly did that. So maybe he won't help you so much. Maybe you can learn a lesson from that, not to place yourself needlessly in danger like that, just for the sake of curiosity. Intention matters. Knowingly placing yourself in danger for curiosity's sake, and placing oneself in danger while having the authority to do so as to actually help someone are 2 different things. So anyway, it is a daunting task to acquire legitimate help. It really is. The key is finding legitimate people. Do your research. Call them for an interview. You interview them and see where their headspace is at, if it sounds legit to you. Don't just, randomly pick out a group off of Facebook or YouTube or somebody. Really dive deeply into how they function. Do your research. Like I said, call them in for an interview. Many are well-meaning, but do they have the qualifications? So until next time, our part 3 of our Investigating the Investigators series, part 3, will answer the question, do you even need paranormal investigators? Until then, take care, and we will see you on the flip side.